Just another cool example. If you can see this top peak here where we used a couple gutter mounts and just focused them in on that top peak, really turns out. Second story peaks, definitely something you want to focus on if you can get the lights up there. Definitely brings your landscape lighting plan to the next level.
Hey, Ed, thanks for taking the time to send in the pictures. Really great property. I think you do some really cool things with your project here. So I'll give you a couple ideas. Primarily what I'll talk to you about, though, is the accent lights here, and then also some different path lights. There's two really popular path lights that we use. I think in your case, you're probably going to want to use these. The reason being this is more of a standard one as opposed to the new modern look, but the 360 beam spread on these guys is what you're going to like. So if I look at your house, really great features to highlight for landscape lighting. So what I would definitely do is I would try and get those uplights that I just talked about. So these guys here up against the house in this location, and this location. And the way you want to do that is you don't want to, a lot of people try and put them too far back and shine them at the house and then you end up with this big hot spot. You're better off getting it fairly close, maybe 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches back from the house, and have it almost shining almost directly up. And actually, the more I look at this, you probably want to even balance it more so where you kind of have it under the window where it's shining up. You have one in the middle that's going up like this, and you have one going like this. And again, because you're putting it fairly close to the house, you don't have to worry about the glare in the window, because really what you're trying to do is catch the texturing of all the nice stonework you have here. So those three lights there would create a really nice balance. I would do the same thing on this side here with three lights, kind of in the same type of idea. Or if you wanted to keep the same effect that you have over here, you just have the two of them underneath both of the windows, have them shining up, and they would do a good job of getting to the second peak. I would kind of do the same on this side here, except I would have them more on the sides of the windows, kind of under the shutters here, because then it would really highlight the frame, the shutters, and then provide some nice light on here. The nice thing too, especially in this area, because you do have some lighter colors on the siding here, you're actually going to get a little bit of reflective light that will give you a little bit of light down in the garden bed, which is always nice, but the real effect is going to be on the house. And then the other thing I would do is I would probably try and highlight these two pillars in the back as well. So a couple things. One, here you're definitely going to notice a big dark spot if you don't. Even if you put some path and garden lights, which I'll talk about in a second, you're still going to kind of notice that you've got this lit up, you've got this lit up, and then you're going to notice a bit of a dark spot here. So to eliminate that, what you could do, and what we do a lot of times, is actually trying to get an accent light on this pillar kind of at the base just beside the walkway here, and then another one in the corner. And the reason I like doing that is because anytime you have the nice white trim, especially with these pillars, you get a lot of reflective light. The light hits the top, it almost looks like you have soffit lights. It makes the whole entryway really inviting and stand out. So it's definitely something I would do. And then with the light that you have here especially, I would put something in it called a hex baffle. All it is this little honeycomb shaped aluminum filter like this guy here, and all it does is it slides underneath the light and over top of the lens, and what it does is now as you're walking in and out of the house, it just helps deflect the glare so that light's not kind of shining in your eye, and it's really just focusing on what I believe here is the address and these pillars, and it'd be a really good way to create some extra light in this area. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, which most people won't do, but I think it would be simple enough to do in your case, and I'll show you some examples of what I'm talking about with those lights too, but in your case, the other thing I would do is I would try and light these second story peaks, because these lights here aren't really going to do anything here. So again, what you're going to find is you're going to have this lit up, now you've got this area lit up, and then you're going to find these two top areas are going to be dark, where it's a really good opportunity to get some accent lights up there and really make them stand out. And the way you do that, it's actually quite simple. It's just with these things here, it's called these gutter mounts. So basically this just fits right in the gutter and screws to the side of the house, and then the fixture actually screws into that as opposed to like a ground stake, and then you can go and direct it towards those second story peaks. So I would probably try and mount one here that shines up this way, and then I would probably try and mount another one up in this corner in the gutter that catches this top peak. And it's actually quite simple to get the wire up there. Usually what we do is we just drop the wire in the actual gutter in the east trough here, and then make the connection down in the ground. And then because all our connections are waterproof, you can actually just run it right inside the gutter, so you'll never see that. And because this one's over here, it looks like it'd be easy enough to just keep that going. Make your connections right in the gutter, hide them, mount those lights there, and have those 2 second-story peaks lit up. And then you weren't sure about the side of the house, but I'll tell you something I like doing here, and I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. But so this is an example here where it's the side of the house, and obviously this one's higher than yours, so that's a benefit to you because you don't have to use as big of a light. But I still like lighting up the sides, even if there's not a lot there. You do have the garden beds there, which is nice because you will create a little bit of a silhouetting and reflective light from that. But the other reason I like is because you shoot that light up to the top, and then it's like you have pot lights in the top, so it lights the whole side of the house, but not overwhelming. As you can see here, it creates that kind of cool glow, as well as it's going to kind of create some silhouetting in the garden. So you know, for your example, if you had, say for example, just 3 lights, and it's not in a case like this, really all you want to do is try and get them evenly spaced out, more or less. So, you know, space them all out 10 to 15 feet or whatever it is, so you can get 3 lights in this area, evenly spaced, that light up this top section. Again, because you have a lighter colored siding, you're going to get some reflective light that's going to light some of this bed and create some light, as well as because you're kind of backlighting the house, you kind of get the silhouette of all these plants too. So in my opinion, it's a better way of doing it than adding a bunch of path and garden lights, which a lot of people do in a case like this, because I just think you get a lot more effect with a lot fewer lights, which helps save you money. So that's what I would probably do there. And you did mention some path and garden lights, and I do agree with you, and the only thing is just use them sparingly. I find that people often overuse path and garden lights, so what I probably would do is I like to stagger them whenever I'm going to use that in between wherever I have accent lights. So say I'm going to have an accent light here, here, and here, I may want to try and throw a path light just kind of on this corner. I may throw another one in here, I may throw one in here, and then I might want to try and get one in the corner here, and then another one here, and maybe 4 or 5 of those at the most. Keep it simple, keep them all on one side, I think would do a really good job. And then it just creates a second layer of light too. Not only does it light the walkway, but again, because those are like I talked about, the 360, which basically means, I mean, it's a mushroom cap, it's not rocket science, but it's going to light all around wherever you place that. And I apologize, my internet is really slow today. But basically it's going to throw a little bit of light back on the garden bed too, which is a nice added feature. So if you were to do that, you've got all the top sections lit up, you've got the side, and you've got this front of the house. So if I was to put a kit together for you, basically here's what it would look like: is 1, 2, 3 accent lights here, 2 more here, so you're 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9 here, and then I would put 10, 11, 12, 3 on the side, and then I would put 2 more up here with gutter mounts. So you're 14 accent lights. And then I would say at most you want 6 path and garden lights. And keep in mind that you can easily, on the transformer that I'll recommend, you can easily fit all those lights. And if you find that down the road, say you wanted to add another path light here, you have your accent light here, you wanted to add another path light here, say you wanted to add another one here, and here and here, like I kind of talked about staggering, it's a good way to light the beds as well as have the house uplit. But in a lot of cases, it's budget. You start small. You can always add on later. If you've watched some of the videos, you know I always talk about leaving extra wires so that if that was something you wanted to do, you could tap into one of those existing fixtures down the road, and you could mount those extra path lights if you wanted to. For your project, I'm not sure exactly where the transformer would go. I would imagine you either have an outlet somewhere in here, or somewhere along the side here. If you need to get wire underneath the sidewalk, it's actually quite simple. You can go to YouTube and you can just search lighting doctor tunnel under a sidewalk. But basically what it is you can go to Amazon, search bulb planter drill bit, and all it is a long drill bit that fits in any standard battery operated drill. And then all you have to do is just dig back a little bit, and then you just drill right underneath the sidewalk, and it's super easy. Very labor intensive. I don't know if that's a word, but it means a lot, not a lot of work. So anyway, I'll put a kit together for you with everything you would need with that. If it makes sense, you have any questions, either way, just let me know, and then you can always just purchase right through through the link and usually ships across North America in 7 to 10 days, and free shipping is included. So if there's anything else I can help with, Ed, please do let me know.
We'll take a quick look at the cottage here. You know, nighttime pictures never quite do it justice. I think the only thing we're missing that I would add here is on the front porch, we're going to put a little downlight there to highlight it, but I think the light in the two sides of the windows was nice, create some symmetry. We're just missing a little bit of a dark spot in the middle there, and then as we kind of go around the side, we only use 6 lights on this guy, which is nice, but we just kind of highlight it again around the side here. Just to give a little bit, and as it gets darker, you'll really be able to see the subtleties in the light. A little bit higher up is just tough to see right now, and then again by the entrance, we did the same thing over on this side, and I think everything turned out really nice. Very subtle lighting, but just enough to make it pop so that you can kind of see it from a distance. And then we'll show you the driveway here again as we get a little bit better light as it gets a little bit darker here.
Okay guys, so here we have our Uplight. Like I said earlier, by far the most popular light, the light that you're going to use the most in most of your landscape lighting projects. But if you'll notice here, it's not just for trees. It's a great light to use if you're trying to uplight a tree. And some quick tips about that is, you know, same as when you're doing a house, you don't want to have it far back pointing at the tree. You're almost always better off having it more upright like this underneath the base of a tree than pointing at the tree. It creates a much more natural effect, a much softer light. So that's a good rule of thumb. There's different wattages. The reason I like these uplights, in particular these ones, you can get them with something called integrated fixtures, where it basically has like an LED board built right into the light. The only problem with that is that if you've never done landscape lighting before and you buy the wrong light and it doesn't give you enough light or too much light, well, you can't go and just switch out that board. Or in some cases you can, but it's a lot of work. Whereas this, we just have an LED bulb that we can go and switch out, so that down the road in 5-10 years when that burns out, we can easily just go and replace that with any other LED MR16 bulb. So I like that. Plus, if you're new to the doing landscape lighting and you don't know which bulb to use, well, if you put in a bulb that's not bright enough, well, then you can always just go and change it for a brighter bulb. Same thing, as your landscape grows, and as your trees grow, sometimes you might want to put a brighter bulb in there. This easily allows you to do that with this light. So that's why I love using this Uplight, but it doesn't just have to be on trees. It can be on architectural features of the house like this. We got some nice stone columns that we're gonna really be killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. We're gonna gently uplight this so it brings out all the little subtleties in the rock. But then what's gonna happen too is that light is gonna make it up to that top soffit, and it's gonna kind of create a nice glow that's actually gonna give us some porch lighting too. Even though we have porch lights here, they're very bright, whereas this is gonna give us a nice subtle glow, and this is more gonna give us the effect from the street and from the curb appeal with just some functional lighting up top. So again, why I really like this light. The one thing we are gonna do with this one, because it's close to a porch, an area we're gonna be walking by, is we're gonna use something called a hex baffle. All a hex baffle is this little aluminum shield that basically just goes over top of the bulb. So if you take this off, throw that underneath the glass, and then pop that back on, what that's gonna do is it's gonna soften the light a little bit, but more importantly, it's gonna deflect any of that side glare. So as you're walking around and by that light, less of that light is gonna hit your eye, and it's gonna be more concentrated on the nice columns that we have here. So that's something you wanna use anytime you're kind of lighting the entryway of your house or by a walkway or something like that. Hex baffle is a really good tool to have. And the last thing I'll mention about this Uplight, when you are lighting some trees, a good rule of thumb, if you're using a 4-watt LED lamp that puts out about 250 lumens, great for trees that are 8 to roughly 15 to 20 feet high. I would say from about 25 to 35 feet, you want to use a slightly brighter bulb, closer to a 5-watt LED bulb. And then when you get into some really big trees that are over that 35-foot mark, you probably want to go and start looking at a 6-watt LED bulb so that you can really push that light into the canopy. But that's why you're going to use this light for 70 to 80% of the places in your yard because it's such a versatile light. It does so many things, and that's the reason that we use so many of these year after year. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys got some great do-it-yourself landscape lighting tips. Now, please be sure to go to our website at lightingdoctor.ca and check out our how-to page. It's full of great resources from our podcast to our video to our most frequently asked questions. And also check out our Try It Before You Buy It light, where you can actually go now and get one of our premium quality Uplights and a King Innovation Insta-Light, which is basically a battery pack now that allows you to go and run those lights and test them out on your property. Try it for 14 days. If you don't love it, send it back to us and we'll give you a full refund. And if not, you keep the light at a discounted rate and go and buy what you need for your project. So thanks again for watching. Please be sure to leave us a comment. We'd love your feedback. Have a great day.